We're closing in on the tip-off to the NBA season. This is All You Can Heat. I'm your host, Theo Dorsey. And of course, as always, All You Can Heat brought to you by Robinhood. You expect more from yourself. Expect more from your money. Get started today at Robinhood.com/your money. There's a lot of people that are thinking about putting their hard-earned money on the Miami Heat this year to potentially exceed that win total of 37 and a half. I have an inkling that they should be right around a 500 basketball team. Excuse me, football still on the brain as we're in the midst of that season. But as we tip off the Miami Heat season, I want to bring to you on this episode my one-on-one with Erik Spoelstra at Heat Media Day, a look at the season opener, which is going to be at Orlando, which I do fear is going to be clearly the better basketball team in the state of Florida here for the second straight year. Paolo Banchero, you obviously add Desmond Bane. That's a unit. And they're pretty stout on defense as well, which is the Heat's strong suit. But if the Heat want to win basketball games this year, they got to, for the first time in 3 straight seasons, they would have to be out of being a bottom third offense in the NBA. I'm sick of seeing it. I know you are as Heat fans as well. So stick with me here as we guide you along in the Miami Heat's 2025 campaign, which again is going to tip off at Orlando. Before we get into that game, though, how's about we answer 3 of what I believe to be the burning questions for the Miami Heat if they want to have a successful 2025. Erik Spoelstra, by the way, he's got big fish to fry as well coming up in the summer as he was recently announced as the new leader of Team USA. But before he gets to those duties full-time, of course, it starts with the Miami Heat. And question number 1, will it be no Jimmy, no problem? We all remember when the Jimmy Butler trade happened in February, the news broken, took Kevin Love and the fellas on the sideline of the game. It was all fun and games. Everybody in Miami was relieved. But let's not forget where the Heat were when they traded off Jimmy, who was barely even playing for him in the first place. We're talking about a team that was 25 and 24. They were sitting at 6th, actually, in the East. So they wouldn't have been in the play-in the first place. Jimmy goes. You bring in Andrew Wiggins. He is one of the key players in the starting lineup. But the Heat went on to lose 17 of their next 21 games. It was a very, volatile back end of the season with no Jimmy Butler. You then rally off 6 straight wins. The Heat sneaked their way into the play-in, and we know that they like to call them a play-in dynasty at ESPN West Palm. I hate that. I resent that as a Heat fan because we like talking about hanging banners, not about being in the play-in with teams like the Hawks and the Bulls, but that's the reality of the matter. That's where the Heat have found themselves. And with no Jimmy Butler to start this year for the first time, I do wonder if it's going to be a breath of fresh air for the Miami Heat, or are they going to feel some offensive woes despite the injection of Norman Powell. And despite the fact that if you're a real Heat fan, part of Heat Nation, and you watch this team in the way in which that offense meshes, Bam Adebayo at times is better when Jimmy's not on the court. So I wonder what a full offseason, the brainiac himself, Erik Spoelstra, working to figure out how he could best utilize this team. Pele Larson, you can see maybe an uptick in the role for Nikola Jovic. You also have a Kel'el Ware big who I've heard at this point at least 2 or 3 times on record, Erik Spoelstra, including once when I asked him in Boca Raton at FAU, specifically about the second-year big. I've heard Spo saying he wants more from him, saying that what he's giving is not quite enough. And it's based off of how much talent rich they feel like Kel'el Ware is. So we see a little bit of that. We saw it in the summer league. We saw a little bit of it in the preseason. I do wonder if Kel'el Ware can be another guy that can add to this thing. It is a very up for grabs Eastern Conference. No Tatum, no Halliburton. The teams to beat are really the Knicks. The Magic are up there as well. It is a feasible East if the Heat have the kind of roster that the Heat have had over the past 4 or 5 years. But that's where we get back to the point of it all. And is it going to be no Jimmy, no problem? Or are the problems going to be compounded when you don't have that superstar to take the weight off of other people's shoulders and to bear a lot of the burden of the offense? But again, Jimmy was more of a burden last year than not. The Heat were a 37-win team last year. They are projected right around most sports books to win 37.5 games. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which way I would lean on that. As a Heat fan, you would want to go with over on that win total. I look at guys like Tyler Hero and how quickly he'll get back from the ankle injury, and I think that could be good for Miami. I look at guys like Davion Mitchell and how his role can grow as the head of the snake on defense, as well as a guy that can penetrate a bit. And honestly, he improved his three-point jumper a lot. It's a team that has a bunch of B minus, B plus players all throughout the lineup. They've got about 10 or 11 guys that you would feel comfortable playing in an NBA game and not feel like that person is a liability. Think about Jaime Jaquez Jr. You think about Drew Smith even, who's going to be back from injury. Like, this is a deep roster. And depth can help you win regular season games more than it can in the postseason. We know what the Miami Heat looked like when they did sneak their way into the playoffs. The most lopsided playoff series loss at the hands of the Cleveland Cavaliers. You don't want to see anything like that again, but you do think that this team can maybe play their way out of the play-in if they get the most out of guys like Norm Powell, if you get growth out of Jovic, if you get a bounce back year out of Jaime Jaquez Jr., and really Kel'el Ware is going to be the guy I'm going to be locked in on to see how he plays, especially when it comes to teams like the Magic, tough, lengthy, defensively stout. The Heat are going to need all hands on deck. So I'm just curious how that does pan out for Miami here. And as a Heat fan, I know we're all gearing up for the season. We're excited to see what can this team be. The guy that's going to have to decide that, Erik Spoelstra. We're going to go to an interview with him. I was able to speak with him about his summer vacation, watching some of the players overseas, talking about his experience of taking his hands off the steering wheel a little bit and just being one of the guys for part of the moments. But also, what are his expectations for Bam Adebayo? Can the Miami Heat not only get one All-Star this year, but in a wide open East, why not two? Like, what's more likely? And we'll answer that in the coming weeks. What's more likely for Miami? I want to wait till we get some games under our belt. But 0 All-Stars or multiple All-Stars. The last time that this Heat franchise had 2 players in the All-Star game, it wasn't all the way back with the big 3. No. 2019, 2020, you got Bam Adebayo and Jimmy Butler. Since then, Jimmy made it in 22, Bam made it in 23 and in 24, and entirely Hero made his first career All-Star appearance last year. Between Norm Powell, who was an All-Star snub, Tyler Hero, who made it, and Bam, who's not a perennial All-Star, but I'd be dang, like the dude he can be the guy that maybe leads the team even in assists as well as rebounds and is top 3 or 4 in points. And he clearly has to be the best player on the Miami Heat if this Heat team wants to be good. One of the most versatile defenders in the league. I just think that he has that all-star potential, and this is the year to prove it. This is the Bam Adebayo-led Miami Heat. What are we going to get out of you? We're going to find all of that stuff out soon. But here is Erik Spoelstra's thoughts on it as we continue to give you all you can Heat. Theo Dorsey here at Miami Heat Media Day, joined now by head coach Erik Spoelstra, entering year 17.
18.
Yeah. Longest tenured coach in the NBA right now with your team. And as you correct me right there, that's a full, like, your coaching career is now, legal to go buy a cigarette in the grocery store. How are you feeling coming into year 18 now?
Thanks for making me feel old.
It's a good thing. It's a good thing.
I feel great. I feel invigorated. I love this profession of coaching. I love being part of teams. I love being part of teams that hopefully can create something magical. The whole process of it, it's been invigorating. And I'm just grateful that I'm able to be in this profession, working for this organization, and have another crack at it this year.
You have such a storied rise to where you are now, and it's funny because when I look at this generation of the NBA, I feel like there's 3 coaches that have defined it. It's Steve Kerr, Greg Popovich, and now yourself. Is it going to be weird coaching in an NBA where Greg is no longer on that bench coaching for the San Antonio Spurs?
It will be, and it is strange. He just became so accustomed, to see him on the sidelines in San Antonio. I know he'll still be involved with the organization, but we'll miss him. We all looked up to him. Even though we were peers in the games, it was hard not to look up to him. I view him the same way as I view Pat. Like, he's one of those iconic coaching figures.
With a guy like him, he coached into his year, 75 years old, and he did it for so long with the Spurs. And you can do that when you're with a good organization. When you look at your own journey here with the Miami Heat, how long do you consider yourself a person that you love the thrill of being on the bench and continue to coach from that side of things?
Man, those conversations aren't already happening, are they?
No, no, no. I'm
Yeah.
not.
I hope I do this for a long time.
Yeah.
Like I said, I feel young. I feel invigorated. I know there was, and I really appreciate Pat for saying that after the season, what he said. But I was not burnt out. I was embarrassed by what happened in the playoffs, but I was not burnt out by any stretch of the imagination. I love what I do. I love everything about this profession, and the summer was great. I was able to spend so much time with the family and travel, and also see our players overseas, and put together a plan, for this season. I'm really looking forward to it. Um, for this season and the challenge. It definitely feels like this is a new chapter. We turned the page. It felt appropriate, and I think we're all looking forward to the possibilities.
What was the travel like? Because this summer was big for me too. I know you don't really care as much, but my first time going to Europe, my favorite place was Florence. We spent a week there. It was amazing. The food, the drinks, the walkability of the city. What was your favorite place to go and venture off to this offseason?
Well, if I just talk about that trip, I went to Rome to see Simone and learned how to order a 5-course meal in Italy, with the pasta and the fish, and he picked out a nice bottle of wine. So that was a lot of fun. I'd never been to Stockholm. I'd never been to Belgrade. Stockholm was really fun with Pella's family. And I never spent time with them. Over here, just everything happened so fast last year. And Nico, that was fun being in Belgrade. That's such a basketball crazed place. Seeing him in that environment, with the pressure and expectations of that team, the Serbia team, was fun. And all three were able to see me in a different way. I wasn't a head coach going over there. I was just there to break bread and hopefully hear some funny stories about when they were kids.
That's what I was about to. I'm wondering, because how do you turn that off? I'm sure it's good and comforting to be able to turn that off and just be one of the guys and enjoy things with them. But how do you turn that switch off when you're probably watching basketball thinking, I want to do that differently. I want him to slide over or something. How do you turn it off?
Easy. I had no problem doing that over there and letting them pick out the wine or the spirits or anything like that. I enjoyed not having the pressure of having to make decisions. I just wanted to go over there and support them and be a friend and have a different relationship than the head coach to a player.
You thrive in competition. You love challenges. Do you look at this season, as you say, you turn the chapter, new look, you're bringing in some new faces? Obviously, Jimmy Butler's departure and not having him here at training camp is going to be a lot different and whatnot. Are you just excited for this new challenge and what you're able to do with this new chapter of the Heat?
Yes, and there's an unknown to the season. I mentioned that in my presser, and that doesn't have to be a negative thing. I think it's a really exciting thing when you see great possibilities, which I do in this team, and I want to leave an open space for guys to grow into that and hopefully impact winning in a big way, and then ultimately, collectively, we do something greater than our individual parts, and that's the whole deal.
Just saw Tyler Hero behind us roll in here, and we know that he's likely going to be sidelined for the first 8 to 10 weeks. Talked about, a new beginning and having a hole opened up that you're going to have to fill the gaps on. Who do you feel like you might lean in on trying to fill his scoring hole? And I know you made a big acquisition this offseason, Norm Powell, who could be a good candidate for it.
Yeah, we have a bunch of guys that we think can step up, and it is unfortunate, that Tyler would be out at the beginning. I'm just grateful he's not out, for a long period of time. And when we get him back, that's going to be a great offensive punch that he gives us. But we're very fortunate to be able to acquire Norm, at his best offensive season last year. And I think the way he does it on and off the ball is really important. Bam will continue to be super important for us, and he's setting himself up to have a great season. Wiggs feels so much more comfortable here, after a summer and moving his family out here. He's in great shape. Davion Mitchell, and then our young players with this space that I'm talking about, like jumping. Nico, maybe that's Pella, I don't know who it's going to be, or collectively Jaime, all these guys have had great summers, and that's part of the unknown that I think is exciting.
That's a lot of names you dropped, and there's a limited amount of minutes, obviously, in an NBA game for these guys to play. But I'm curious more so with the big man rotation that you'll be able to work with this year, with Kel'el Ware coming into year 2. Obviously, Bam Adebayo is the mainstay. You bring back Precious Achiuwa and whatnot. Like, how excited are you to figure out that side of things? And I also think about a guy who we know and love in South Florida, and Vlad Golden, who's excited to kind of cut his teeth at this level.
Yeah, you need the versatility with your front court now. The game is shifting a little bit as well, where you have to be able to handle a lot of different styles of play, not only just in the course of a season or playoffs, but night to night basis, where teams go super small. You have to have that versatility, speed, quickness, space. Teams are going bigs, double bigs and big front line, big guards, where you have to have that kind of physicality and size and girth sometimes, for a 6-8 minute period of a game. Kel'el is setting himself up, after a really productive summer to have an important role. He'll have to continue to grow and improve. Vlad, who you mentioned, gives us that size and girth and physicality in short stints potentially. And then Bam always gives you that versatility. We think Precious bringing him back with he's got a different perspective now, and he's a little bit older. I think that versatility will help. And Nico, I think you plug and play him in a lot of different ways. The 4, the 3s, maybe sometimes a small ball 5. He has that kind of versatility. All those guys will be important.
Is Vlad going to kind of show you guys around at FAU this next week? I mean, I know y'all have done the camp there, but obviously he knows all the intricacies of Boca Raton.
Yeah, it'll be interesting. We know our way around up there too, but I think it'll be fun for him. And that was a great team. That he was a part of that Final Four team. That was a lot of fun. It was must-see TV. We were all watching. That'll be a nice little twist to the camp.
For you as a head coach in this spot, I know that the people look at the East as wide open, and there's all these wide arching narratives of where the NBA stands here today and whatnot. But it feels like a bit of a blank canvas. And I look at a guy like Bam Adebayo as that person who, I mean, it does help when you're hanging out with a 4-time MVP all the time with Bam, but then also that person who's looking to take that next step. What are some of those things that you've expected from him this offseason and also are going to lean on him to do now that he is that guy that's the mainstay, the veteran leader, and likely going to be somebody you might need a little bit more offense out of this year?
Yeah, he'll be asked to do a lot. Like I said, when he's setting himself up to have a great season, and he's prepared, he's in shape. He'll have the ball in his hands, quite a bit. But I think the biggest step will be that mentorship piece. He's already been a captain. He's already been our leader. He's been our emotional leader. And now to really, move the locker room of impressionable young guys, it's that mentorship piece. And it requires great vulnerability, humility, which he has, where you're not putting yourself above, but you're really with the guys in the trenches. And that's what I think can move the player development the most, is that kind of mentorship, not only from Bam, but from myself, from Norm, from Wiggs, even Tyler.
And I know you look at yourself as somebody who is actively always learning and picking up things. I love the story that people like to tell of you learning the spread offense from football and kind of taking that and using it in the heyday of the Big Three and whatnot. Have there been other avenues or areas in which you've soaked up some stuff, even with your trip overseas?
Yeah, for sure. And I'm not telling you.
I was about to.
Yeah, no way. That's where I've become wiser.
Yeah.
So nothing gets out. But look, there's no like magical secret. But you better evolve. Otherwise, you get left behind. And the game continues to change, as we're seeing, right now. And the playoffs last year, it's a different game than it was 5-6 years ago. Some of them are subtle, some of them are bigger, but you better stay ahead of the curve.
And then lastly, I just want to ask you, specifically with Tyler Hero, for you, what's a situation similar to his that you've coached somebody through where they have to wait to then get played into the rotation because he's coming off of the injury? And then how are y'all going to be able to keep him around, keep the vibes high, and keep him ready to go for when he is able to re-enter the lineup?
Yeah, like I said, it's not, so many months that he'll be out. He'll be around, and I think that'll be a good part of his development too, is finding a different way to impact than just, in the game and with his scoring and playmaking and offense. Can you impact a young locker room with mentorship, with leadership, with consistency every single day? Everything matters. And Tyler's about all that stuff, and he's able to do it when he plays. Now, can you do it, when you're not playing? And I think he's built for that.
I appreciate your time. Enjoy the rest of Media Day. And also, I will say, the wine of choice that I loved out in Florence, Chianti Classico.
Chianti Classico.
If you go back, ask for that one. Tell them I sent you.
Okay. Yeah, sure.
Thanks, guys.
All right.
Special thanks to Coach Spo, and appreciate you all for sticking around and watching right here. All You Can Eat with Theo Dorsey, presented by Robinhood. Make sure you subscribe wherever you're finding this, whether it's YouTube or where you find your podcast. Make sure you download the ESPN South Florida app, and we'll be kicking it with you all season long. Again, the Heat open up on the road at Orlando. Right now, it's not looking good. They're 8-point dogs, but we'll see if the dog in them helps them come maybe up with maybe not an upset, but I'll be down for a good game. How about a good game from these Miami Heat? We'll see that and more as we continue on with the with the Miami Heat season. 82 games and counting. I'm Theo Dorsey. We'll catch you next time.